Does this sound familiar to you? You wake up, you get dressed, you go to work, you maybe try to hit the gym after work, you go home, cook a little something, have a good meal, watch a little TV, and you go to sleep, you wake up, and you do it again the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And it sucks, and it's miserable, and you hate it. Don't worry, I'm about to tell you how to turn all of that around. These are 5 very simple, very doable things that I stopped doing in order to feel alive again. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Ape and I am in Tokyo. If any of what I'm about to say resonates with you, do me a favor and leave a comment below saying which one resonates with you. The studies are saying that when you leave a comment on a YouTube video, you are more likely to take the advice that was in the video. Or like if you're watching a cooking video, you're more likely to cook the meal if you leave a comment. So let's test that out. Okay, so if you follow me on Instagram or on TikTok, you've probably heard me talk about this before, but before I moved to Japan, I definitely felt like I was in a bit of a rut. And the first of 5 things that I had to stop doing in order to get out of that rut was I had to stop doing things that didn't serve me. And this is probably the most important of the 5 things because it took me years of deep introspection to come to terms with that. And a lot of what I'm about to say is rooted in unlearning the idea that quitting is bad. I grew up constantly hearing things like, nobody likes a quitter, quitters never win. All of that just made me feel like I had to stick in bad situations regardless of what I felt like was on the other side. I was sticking in situations that I didn't want to be in, and I knew that I could leave, but I didn't want to be perceived as a quitter. But one thing I had to learn the hard way, and hopefully you can learn it the easy way, they say a word is enough for the wise. There is no reward for suffering, or unless you're suffering in the name of Jesus. There's no reward, okay? I made a video about this on my TikTok page, and I really had to embrace the word pivot. As soon as I'm not getting what I need from a situation, I pivot. I turn, and you need to embrace that word as well. It needs to become mandatory for you to pivot as soon as you find it necessary. Okay, the second thing I had to stop doing was chasing the old me. And please tell me that this is relatable to y'all. So because of the lockdown in 2020, I realized that I started thinking of my life in like 2 phases, a before phase and an after phase, right? The life I had before that lockdown in March 2020 and the life I had after that lockdown in March 2020. And maybe it's because I had never lived through a global pandemic before, but it really like shaped and really misconstrued how I was looking at the present and the future. Everything inside of me was trying to get back to my life in like February 2020, right? This is how I did it then, so this is how I need to do it now. This is how I looked then, so this is how I need to look now. I've been very open with, I gained weight during the pandemic. I don't know if these are in the frame, but they did not used to be this huge, okay? I gained like 40 pounds during lockdown, and when I lost most of the weight, V stayed. So my body is drastically different than it has ever been in my adult life. That was an adjustment for me. And trying to chase the person that I was in like the name of trying to go back to normal, it was draining. Please tell me if this is relatable. Are y'all feeling drained? Like, somebody talk to me. Essentially, the reality of the situation is that old me is gone. She's dead. The same way I will never be 15 again, the same way I'll never be 21 again, March 2020 is gone. It's over. That girl does not exist anymore. And I was spending all of this time chasing a dead version of myself. Of course I was miserable. It's normal to feel nostalgic about the good old days, but you always got to remember, baby, them's is the old days. The best thing you can do right now is try to find updated ways to maybe relive the feelings that the nostalgia gives you. But trying to retrace your steps from the past you, it's a dead end. And of course, it's going to make you miserable. Okay, number 3, and I'm going to get even more personal with you guys right now because I feel like I've been talking in I terms instead of you terms, which is my plan, but whatever. I need you to hear number 3. I had to stop mourning a life that I never had. This is probably one of the biggest reasons that I found myself moving to Japan. Back in America, I was very connected to a hypothetical life that was never on the horizon for me. I had created like milestone markers, timelines, deadlines, and I was getting older and I was navigating the world and I was not reaching a lot of those goals. And the goals that I was reaching from those deadlines and timelines, they kind of didn't mean much to me because there were still other goals that I was trying to chase and that I wanted. Namely, if we're being transparent, because I feel like this is a safe space here. If you're this far in the video, this is a safe space, I have to assume. Mainly because I wasn't married with a child. And I think that's what kind of was like, I kind of got to a place where I was like, girl, why are you so pressed to be married that you are downplaying all of the amazing things you have accomplished at such a young age? Like, oh, okay, you know, you buy and sell properties, whoop-de-whoop. Oh, okay, you did get your master's degree. Oh, okay. It was just like, nothing was really filling me because I was mourning what I didn't have, what I never had. And without realizing it, I was stuck in a cycle of grief from that morning. And I could not get to the acceptance phase because I didn't even realize that I was mourning something. Like I said, that was one of the main reasons why I came to Japan. I had to sit myself down. I said, girl, you are not going to be 29 forever. You got maybe 2, maybe 3 years tops left to be 29. You're not married, you don't have kids, and you sitting around while life passing you by. Girl, you need to go out there and be adventurous. You at the crib crying, chasing the life that was never yours to begin with, and you could be shaking your ass at the club in Tokyo. Honestly, it was between Tokyo and Cartagena. I decided with Tokyo. But essentially, I just decided to stop mourning a life I never had and start to create from scratch a life that I knew that I could be happy with. And if you're watching this video, I think you need to do the same. For me, that consisted of traveling and becoming a global citizen, living in a new country like my ancestors did back in the day. You need to figure out what it is for you and then create that life. Okay, number 4 involves a dash of plagiarism. This is straight from my old therapist. I had to stop letting fear drive my bus. When I was with that therapist, whenever I would tell her, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, she would always ask me, okay, so what's driving your bus? What's making you want to move towards this decision? And over time, I realized every decision I made, fear was driving the bus. Whether I thought it was a good decision or a bad decision, fear always had one hand on the wheel. Maybe joy was also there. Maybe anger was there. Maybe acceptance was there. But fear was always a part of what was driving my bus. And that I'm a work in progress. I have to become much better about letting fear drive my bus. Even in moving to Japan, I thought of everything that could possibly go wrong a jabillion times over. I'm still currently tempted to think about all the things that could go wrong a jabillion times over. But because I stopped to ask myself, okay, what's driving your bus? When I realize it's fear, I can pivot and say, okay, so now we're not scared anymore. Let's take the what ifs off the table. Let's only think about good situations and make your decisions from there. That perspective shift has drastically changed how often I find myself being truly happy. Side note, Will and Jaden Smith did a movie like years and years and years ago. It's called After Earth. It flopped, but Will Smith has a line in that. And he says something like, danger is real. Fear is a choice. So I'm not saying I don't consider the bad things that could happen to me. Of course I do. I am an intelligent lady. This is on. Like, of course I do. But I don't fear the bad things, if that makes any sense. I find now the thing that has really been bringing me joy is not being afraid of bad things that could happen, but being prepared for bad things that could happen. And kind of just accepting that at some point a bad thing will happen. Like, I can't get around that. But learning to live and to move with this mindset is changed my life. Okay, this last one I feel like is going to be a little controversial, but I just kind of, just hear me out, okay? Just hear me out. Number 5. I had to stop letting money dictate all of my choices. First, let me say, I would wager to bet that anybody watching this video lives in like a capitalist society, right? So I fully understand how it could be a bit jarring to say something like, don't let money dictate your life. There is a huge difference in letting something factor into your decisions and letting something dictate your decisions. Because no matter what, you always have a choice. And that's one of the roles of capitalism, is to make the people that live under it feel like they don't have any other choice but to do what the capitalist wants you to do. And coming from America, capitalism really functions to make you feel like you don't have any other choice but to constantly keep working, which keeps you consistently exhausted. And you're always too exhausted to stop and say, I don't think life should be like this. It shouldn't. The world is a vast place. And if you cannot create the life that you want in the area that you are right now, why not try a different area? Now, for me, that was a different country. For you, it could just be a different city. It could be a different town, a different village. It could be a different state. It doesn't have to be as drastic as what I've done, okay? Because I understand. It's a bit drastic moving to a different country. But all I'm saying is a little bit of research goes a very long way. When I was in undergrad, one of my friends said something to me that I didn't fully understand at the time, but I'm understanding it now, and it's such a perspective shift. So he didn't have any student loans. He didn't have any scholarship. He didn't have any job. He was like on immigration status. Like, he had no reason to believe that his tuition was going to get paid for the next semester, right? He said, there is so much money in this world. I refuse to believe that that money cannot be used to pay my tuition. As a 18, 19-year-old, that was such an abstract concept to me. But essentially what he was saying is a little bit of research goes a long way, babe. It's money out there. Something's gonna cover this $20,000 tuition bill. There's $20,000 in the world, so now it's gonna hit this account. And you really have to think of life that way. And sure enough, baby, he graduated, no loans, no debt, tuition was paid. You got it, big fella. And he was absolutely right. And it took me years and years later to really reflect on that, because that always stuck with me. But basically, what he was saying is, like, money is out there. If you search hard enough, you can find whatever money you need to accomplish whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. And I, to this day, believe that. Not to say that it's going to be easy, not to say that, it won't cost you something, maybe your time, maybe something else, but the money is out there. And you can't let money be a dictating factor in how you live, because there's a virtually infinite amount of it in the world. Anyway, I really hope that this resonated with you guys. Like I said in the beginning, if any of these was helpful for you or resonated with you, leave a comment down below and tell me which one of these things do you think is going to be the easiest for you to try and implement. Like I said, the people are saying when you leave a comment in the YouTube video, you're more likely to do whatever you saw in the video. And if you're trying to make your life a little less miserable, one step you could take right now, let me know in the comments. Anyway, I genuinely hope you all find your joy. See you next week.